How will the results of the recent German election reshape Germany's political landscape? Today I'm joined by Jan Burdinski, Managing Partner for Berlin Communications.
Good morning.
Good morning and welcome back to Riks Europe.
It's a pleasure.
So what do you think are the main reasons for these election results? And just fill us in on the results for those who might not be updated.
Okay, so we had 3.5 years now of a so-called traffic light coalition of Social Democrats, Greens, and Free Democrats. And apparently, I mean, this coalition had a majority 3 years ago in 2021, and it totaled just over 30% now, which means people are apparently really dissatisfied with the performance, and it was back then the only option that really made sense and could form a viable coalition. That's why it was done. But two left-leaning parties, one standing for social entitlements, one for the ecological transition, and a fiscally conservative, more center-right party, the Free Democrats, it just was not a good fit. And and then when the money ran out, they ran out of ideas on how to cope with the future.
So what coalition are we going to see, and what challenges will they face?
I think from my perspective, the biggest challenge is we have two perceived winners, the Christian Democrats and the Social Democrats, who will be forced to make a coalition because, again, there is no other viable option. The Christian Democrat had their second worst result since World War II. The Social Democrats had their worst result since World War II. You can't really say that there's a strong mandate from the people, but because the extremes have been surging so much on the right, the Alternative für Deutschland has basically doubled from 10 to 20% of the votes, and the long perceived dead former Communist Party of East Germany has surged and has surprisingly won the youth vote by just being, anti-war, by being pro-immigration, and by having a candidate who's young, attractive, has tattoos, is cool, and is on TikTok. And probably the two parties who did well on TikTok, that's the AfD and the Linke, have also done very well in elections. And it remains to be seen how long it takes for the traditional parties of the center to actually adopt this.
And what could AfD's success mean for German politics in the long run?
And in the long run, the question remains what the AfD is doing. Currently, everyone who was banned from being a part of the AfD group in the German Bundestag, in the previous term has been accepted again, which means that all these really hard right crazies, there's a guy who calls himself, I'm the friendly face of National Socialism. Please, 80 years after we lost World War II, this is not what we need in Parliament. And that completely discredits the AfD, to work with them. No one wants to work with them in this term. And if they might modify their stand significantly for the next one, and so far they have always taken off the moderate wing whenever there was an evolution within the party, and maybe they should take off the radical right wing, xenophobic and anti-Semitic wing, and then people can work with them, and otherwise it's just 20% of the vote that is wasted, and that they sit there and they do very little. They don't come across as super smart in terms of their policy ideas, and they will just be ignored. It's a very different story than the Sweden Democraten, who have at some point started playing a constructive role. And I'm not going to talk about Sweden Democraten because that's not my expertise.
But what would you say are the biggest concern now for German voters after this election and these results?
We have. I think one of the biggest things that the new government has to cope with quickly is, quote, there is a new sheriff in town. The new president of the United States will significantly alter the relationship between the US and Europe. He has already threatened that he will impose tariffs. I think it's next week. Significant tariffs on major industries in Europe. We quickly have to find solutions. The challenge is that Europe at the moment, we had a German government that was, basically inactive and didn't have a majority in parliament. We have a French president who doesn't have a majority in parliament. We have a Spanish prime minister who doesn't have a majority in parliament. We have a lot of very weak people in charge. The only two good big governments that we have is Italy and Poland, but these are probably not the ones leading Europe vis-a-vis the United States to solve the tariff war that the American side has started. So this is a big thing, and and then we have two more pressing issues. We have a stagnating economy that is just not good for the people, and we have a migration crisis that is unresolved and where no one dares to actually make tough decisions to either integrate those refugees who have come here, or for those who have not been willing to integrate and who have been who became criminals, to just send them back home.
And you mentioned AfD before being popular with young voters, and I understand they also gain more women voters this time. Why do you think that is?
The AfD is gaining young voters because they are the most active party on platforms like TikTok. And apparently TikTok, gets out a lot of young people and to cast their vote. We had a record participation of voters. I think we moved from 77% to 84%, which is excellent. And of course we had a large variety of parties that you could choose from, and so people find something that they like, and then they cast their vote. And I'm happy for the youth to be involved and to care. It's ultimately it is their future. I might have 25 years, but they have 70 or 60 to go.
And I mean, what will be the future, do you believe, for Germany now? Is it a good thing, these results?
This so-called grand coalition that we are seeing again, and as I said, it's like second worst result plus worst result, and that is the future. This is not good. We had a lot of grand coalitions under Chancellor Merkel, and they have not really done what was necessary for Germany to prosper again. Now there's a new candidate, Friedrich Merz. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. He starts very energetic. He has a lot of ideas. He will not be as appeasing to the general public as Angela Merkel has been. Angela Merkel has moved the party way to the center left, and now it is a good Christian Democratic Party again. We will have to see how the Social Democrats cope with the fact that they like from 26 to 16% it's almost halving the vote, and this is a party that was polling 30, 40, 45% in its history. It's a very proud and traditional party from the 19th century, and they basically in tatters.
Thank you, Jan Burdinski, Managing Partner for Berlin Communications, for your insights.
Thank you very much for having me.
And thank you for watching Riks Europe.